step by step through all of these 5 major trends. You probably noticed the cybersecurity, which was the major trend during the summer months, especially with the Warsaw NATO summit decision to declare cyberspace as a 4th military operational domain, lost a bit of momentum at the beginning of September. There will be 2 big events, one in Krakow, which is going on right now, and Sci-Fi conference in India, which is the major regional event on cybersecurity, which will start. We will now go step by step through all of these 5 major trends. We will now go step by step through all of these 5 major trends. You probably noticed the cybersecurity, which was the major trend during the summer months, especially with the Warsaw NATO summit decision to declare cyberspace as a 4th military operational domain, lost a bit of momentum at the beginning of September. There will be 2 big events, one in Krakow, which is going on right now, and Sci-Fi conference in India, which is the major regional event on cybersecurity, which will start on Wednesday. We'll report on both of them in our Digital Watch newsletters. Now, IANA transition is the first major trend. For September, there have been many writings, quite an intensive coverage on IANA developments and crystal ball exercise, what will happen on 30th of September. For those of you who have been following it from time to time, I just would like to make a quick recapitulation what's happened. US government from the very beginning of the ICANN in 90s indicated that it would like to pass the sort of supervision of ICANN to the global internet community. This process started with affirmation of commitments 4 years ago. The build-up for the independent and ICANN started in that and with affirmation of commitments. And then in March 2014, US government announced its intention to transition its oversight of IANA function to the IG community. And since then, there have been quite a lot of meetings, discussions on the way how to do it, and now we have a more or less ready construct how it should operate. But the important decision is a decision of the US Congress, and as you know, the US political scene is highly, highly politicized with presidential elections and discussion around the presidential election. Therefore, we are waiting for the 30th of September in order to hear if there are 2 options. First option, which are most likely, is that IANA transition will be authorized. There won't be any stoppage from the US Congress, and the new architecture which is proposed, which is developed over the last 2 years will be introduced. The other possibility is that IANA transition will be delayed for 1 year, and we have been monitoring the main write-ups and discussions in this field. When it comes to the merit of the new scheme which is proposed, there are very, very few serious substantive critical points, because it is quite robust, and all criticism of those who would like to delay the transition, that the ICANN oversight can go to the United Nations or to some governments which are not favorable to them. All of those criticisms are not justified. Therefore, when it comes to the merit of the discussion, it is clear that the proposed system is robust enough, and it should be implemented. However, as you know, the political scene is very complex, and ICANN and the IANA transition is a part of broader budgetary negotiations in Washington, D.C., and therefore we'll be waiting till the 1st of October to see what will be the new arrangement. There are 2 possibilities: introduction of the new scheme, which is more likely, and there is a possibility that the current arrangement will be extended for 1 year. Now, what is the relevance for these hypothetical developments? The first one will remove one of the most contentious issues of digital debate and internet governance since versus process from the agenda. Therefore, it will be, there are a few open issues related to jurisdiction, but main ICANN-related issues will be moved from the digital policy agenda. If the process is delayed for another year, it will open the new dynamism and especially give the strength to those who are particularly critical of ICANN and ICANN position. Therefore, it will create completely new dynamism in digital policy. The second major trend is e-commerce, developments on e-commerce trade and innovation. And here we have constant dynamism since the beginning of the year. Since the first report of the World Bank on digital dividends, later on activities of UNCTAD, the UNCTAD meeting in Nairobi, and introduction of the e-trade for all, UNCTAD's approach for e-trade for all. This week, just 100 meters down the street, we'll have the WTO forum, which will be discussing this interplay public forum, which will be discussing an interplay between trade, sustainable development, and innovation. This will be one of the main aspects. Out of the 100 sessions which are planned for the forum, 29 will deal directly or indirectly with the question of e-commerce and digital trade. We will be reporting from all of those sessions which are tackling the digital issues. Therefore, if you cannot follow all of these sessions, you will have just-in-time reporting which will be available on the Geneva Internet Platform website. There are also non-papers which are submitted by the United States, European Union, Brazil, MICTA countries, which are outlining the main issues related to e-commerce. We'll be also providing comparative analysis of these papers. What are the focus of all of those major players when it comes to the e-commerce, trade, innovation, and sustainable development? This is the second trend, which continues since our last briefing. The third trend is taxation, which my colleagues labeled the sweetheart deals and unpaid taxes. As you know, the discussion was triggered by the special fine which was introduced by European Commission against Apple. Apple has to pay 13 billion euros in taxes. And obviously it opened the whole question of taxation. And it is one of the most controversial questions in global digital policy, with different views and different approaches. And there are basically two major questions which we will be discussing I'm sure, in the forthcoming months and the years. The first question is where the internet transactions should be taxed. Should be taxed, as Apple argues, in California or somewhere else? This is the first question. And the second question, which was very interesting, European Commission didn't base this fine on the question of the location of taxation. They based their sort of ruling on what European Commission summarized in the following words. Our rules do not stop governments applying a low tax rate to every company. The message is to some extent to Ireland, because Ireland is the hub of the many companies. What they can do is to select just a few favored businesses and give them special treatment which their rivals cannot get. Therefore, European Commission based this fine on the unfair competition arguments. Not necessarily, they didn't go into discussion where the transaction should be taxed, whether it should be in California or Ireland or other countries. Similar debate we have in Indonesia, where the Indonesian government opened investigation in the case of Google, trying to see if Google should pay more taxes in Indonesia. Their argument of Indonesian government is that most of the local advertising now shifted from traditional advertising agencies to Google, and Google should pay taxes in Indonesia. Now, the issue will be it's one of the structural issues, and especially in the time when the governments are trying to reduce, they're under pressure to reduce their expenses, to increase their income, there will be more and more pressure to address this issue of taxation. One of the useful guidelines is OECD taxation guidelines, so applicable to the internet, and it applies to the traditional e-commerce transaction, where, for example, you buy the book online and the book is delivered via Amazon or another service. OECD rule is that destination, not origin principle, should be applied, which is more favorable for the European Union. It means that if you order the book in Europe, the tax should be paid where the book is delivered, in Paris, London, Berlin, not in the place of origin in the United States or other place from where the book was delivered. And that question of OECD taxation is relatively simple in the traditional e-commerce transactions, but it is much, much more complex when it comes to platform economy. Because Apple argues that they should pay taxes in California because this is the place where they are developing their new applications, and it's fair to do it there. The other argument is that taxes should be paid at the place where the transactions are made. Therefore, this issue of taxation will remain on the agenda, academic and policy agenda, for quite some time. Fourth trend is related to net neutrality and so-called BEREC guidelines. BEREC stands for Body of European Regulators for Electronic Communications. This is the European Union body which gathers national regulators to discuss application of the telecommunication rules. As you may recall, in November 2015, European legislation on net neutrality was adopted, and it had relatively strong rules on net neutrality, but with quite a few exceptions. And the discussion started how to treat those exceptions, and everybody was waiting for the BEREC guidelines and ruling. They are not compulsory, but they're like OECD guidelines. They are not treaty or sort of ruling, but they are usually observed by member states because they are also, all member states participate in negotiating them. What is the BEREC interpretation to the exceptions of the rules of net neutrality? They find that 3 instances when the net neutrality can be breached or suspended. The first one is traffic management to comply with the legal order, whatever is legal order by courts or other authorities, and if it implies net neutrality, challenge to net neutrality, that should be followed. Second exception, which is quite vague, to ensure network integrity and security. And third one is to manage congestion on the internet. Just for those of you who are new in this discussion, net neutrality means that all packages, all internet traffic should have the same treatment, regardless if it is a corporate or individual. And that rule was established in the United States by a Federal Commission on Communication. And it was the BEREC discussion, and BEREC interpretation is quite important. The comments from our experts is that it is still vague, although it puts some sort of more concrete elements. There will be more discussion about interpretation of the BEREC ruling, and we are going to have a webinar next month on the 6th of October with the key person behind the negotiation of the BEREC rules on net neutrality. The fifth general trend in November is the tackling on extremist materials online. As you know, one of the major challenges in the fight against extremist and terrorist movements is the use of the internet for the recruitment and for the promotion of the different causes related to extremism and terrorism. Now, this discussion moved from the general conferences, from the events, toward more specific requests, and the United Kingdom Home Secretary Amber Rudd has admitted this month that extremist materials is spreading online at such a fast rate that UK security services are unable to keep up. His statement was followed by the comments from the UK Home Affairs Committee report, which also requested more actions from Google, Facebook, Twitter in reducing the possibility for the extremist and terrorist organization to use this platform for dissemination of information and recruitment of the new followers. Google's tech incubator, Jigsaw, is trying to find a technical solution, and it is very interesting and quite effective solution, which basically means that whenever somebody tries to access this type of materials related to spreading of the hate speech or the terrorism, the search engine algorithm points to the website with the opposite message. And the name is Jigsaw. We will be sending the links in the follow-up discussion. And this is an interesting issue. Can technological solution be a solution, or we need a policy solution? This is all dilemma in internet governance debates. In case of spam, for example, Bill Gates was right when he announced, let's say 6 years ago, when spam was a big issue. He said, no, we will solve this problem by using technological tools and means. And now spam is not anymore the major digital policy issue. We'll see if the Google and their tech incubator Jigsaw can find a solution. I'm sure the task will be much more complex than filtering the spam traffic. Those were the 5 major developments, and we got now PowerPoints on the screen. And in the recapitulation, therefore, the question of IANA transition. The second is the question of e-commerce trade and innovation, which is really here the part of the discussion that we will have at the WTO Public Forum. Taxation with the dilemma, taxation on destination or taxation of origin, and whole dilemma of taxation of the platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms. Question of net neutrality and better guidelines as some sort of a further focus on the rules on net neutrality. And the last trend, the 5th trend, is tackling extremist materials online. We'll go, Arvi, now to the next slide, if you can. Yeah. That was what we had in September. Now, given the specificity, and as you know, time and timing is extremely important in diplomacy, the last summary of the comprehensive summary of the September developments, including IANA transition, Sci-Fi meeting, and Krakow cybersecurity meeting, will be available in our digital JIP digital newsletter, which you are receiving, on 8 pages. We'll have a summary of this last week, which is quite intense with the activities. Next month, in October, you can see the list of the major activities. I would highlight a few activities which are important for Geneva. We'll have on the first, still in this month, and we'll report on that, we'll have the first meeting of the Working Group on Enhanced Cooperation on the 30th of September. And I'm sure that Peter could brief us more about it. And then we'll have in October, there will be ITU Council Working Group between 10th and 14th of October on internet public policy issues. You will have, as you can see, numerous activities related to regional activities in Central Asia, e-crime event in Bratislava, Berlin Internet Rules annual meeting, African Summit ICTA meeting in Windhoek, Brussels BEREC discussion, San Jose Freedom Online Conference. This is another long sort of lasting initiative which started 5 years ago on the freedom of expression and the internet. Global Standards Symposium in Hammamet, RIPE meeting in Madrid, World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly in Hammamet also, Internet of Things Solution World Congress in Barcelona, and Mapping Second General Assembly in Prague. We can go through all of these events and see what are the specificities. Now, next slide, Arvin. At Geneva Internet Platform, you can follow the WTO Public Forum reporting on 27 this month, on 27, 29. Then we will have a session on inclusive digital trade and sustainable development 29th. 30th September next issue of Internet Governance Digital Watch will be published. On the 6th of October, there will be webinar on the net neutrality in Europe, the better guidelines and beyond. And well, on 25th October, it is last Tuesday of the month, and we'll have another briefing. Now, that will be more or less all on these 5 major trends. You have materials with the barometer and other indications. Now the floor is open for our colleagues online and in Belgrade and Tunis hub, and for our friends here in the room in Geneva. Please. Do we have any comments online? Or? Okay. Peter, would you like to comment?
Thank you. As Jovan mentioned, we are going to have the first meeting of the working group on enhanced cooperation this Friday. I can feel a considerable excitement about the meeting, even though it's going to be more procedural than substantive, but I would like to have some discussion of substantive issues. At the very outset of the meeting, after some introductory things, I would like to nominate the chair of the working group, Ambassador Benedicto Fonseca from Brazil, and hopefully it will be approved by the group. And my feedbacks from discussions are very positive. And I would like the group to concentrate on issues which have been outlined in the Visit Plus 10 document, which has been accepted at the end of the year in New York, namely on modalities and methods of the work. And at the same time, I would like to have the group to take into account, as has been indicated in the resolution, the work which has already been done on this matter. At the same time, I would like to have some kind of target dates and targets, of course, and not forgetting that we are to report to the CSTD session in 2018 about the results. So we have about 1 year and a half to go forward. I think the next meeting, which will be a more substantial meeting, will be in back-to-back to the intersessional meeting of the CSTD next January, the time of which hasn't yet been fixed, but I think it will be either the second or third week of January. And I would like to have the third meeting also back-to-back to the annual session of the CSTD in May. Now, of course, this is up to the group to decide, and among other things, how they would like to work and in what way they would like to proceed. What I really want to have is to concentrate on the issues which are relevant to the implementation of the SDGs. And I think this is something which can be very positive for the outcome of the series of meetings we are going to have. And I'm optimistic about the outcome of the IONA transition as well, which is a determining factor of the work we are going to do. So basically, that's what we are going to do in the first meeting, and in case you have questions, I'm ready to take them.
Thank you, Peter, for the outline.
Oh yes, thanks very much, Nigel Hickson, ICANN. Just 2 points, if I may. First of all, to say thank you to Peter. A number of us here are members of the working group, and we're very much looking forward to Friday and a very constructive discussion on enhanced cooperation. As you say, the whole notion of enhanced cooperation, to an extent, is tied up with the notion of of one government, i.e., the United States, having a sort of dominant role in terms of internet architecture. And just to say one thing on the IANA transition, and thanks to Jovan for giving an excellent summary of where we are. So on the 30th of September, the current contract, the IANA contract between ICANN and the NTIA expires. And so we are hopeful, and the American administration has indicated that they will not renew the contract unless there's unforeseen circumstances. One of those unforeseen circumstances could be an inclusion of a so-called rider, a piece of text or a paragraph in the so-called continuing resolution. This is a piece of legislation that's being debated in Congress to enable funding of the administration and various other issues. As Jovan says, we're confident, and you're confident. That's good. And we're you're an expert. We're confident that hopefully everything will be all right. The Senate House Committee indicated last week that they wouldn't include this particular IANA transition rider into the continuing resolution, but final decisions will possibly not be made until up to the 30th, as you indicated. But just wanted to say that, and also to thank the internet community in Geneva and elsewhere, and I know we've got people online. There's been a lot of support from the IANA community and from others on this, pointing out, as Jovan said, some of the factual inaccuracies that have been made in some of the campaign noises. So thank you very much.
Roxanne, do we have any comment from? No. Oh.
Thank you, Jovan. Just a quick comment on the point that you raised about e-commerce and the upcoming discussions at the WTO. The discussions at the WTO on e-commerce are not new. WTO was discussing this since the 90s. But I think some interesting developments is that a lot of issues that were being discussed in other fora dedicated to internet governance are somehow percolating through the trade agenda. So the non-papers that Jovan mentioned that have been presented by Brazil, by the United States, by the European Union, mention some issues such as network neutrality, which is a topic very much related to internet governance, framing it as, for instance, trade facilitation measures. It mentions points related to localization barriers, so data localization, which has been a key issue for some countries, and trying to make sure that servers are located on the national territory. This has been framed as creating barriers to trade in the WTO. Issues related to encryption, which are very much being discussed elsewhere. So I think it's interesting to see in the upcoming years how these issues will be seen as evolving together with the trade discussions, and I think that we will see that in this WTO public forum, so it's worth to follow the reports.
Thank you, Marilia. Therefore, you will be probably receiving calls from your colleagues involved in trade negotiation and asking this question: what is net neutrality? What we can do with encryption? And this is an interesting development where the whole debate could be reframed and anchored into specificities of WTO. As you know, each organization in Geneva has its own DNA, the chemistry that exists in the rooms, and WTO is definitely special when it comes to terminology, way of addressing issues, way of discussing, and including the community. The WTO diplomats are very often, they have their own receptions, their own discussions, their own meetings. But it is interesting how these issues, what Marilia just mentioned, net neutrality, question of encryption, data localization, will be now reframed in the trade discussion. Okay, that's fine. I think we tackled the major issues. With this, I would like to thank our colleagues online who were following this, the colleagues in Tunisia and in Belgrade, the hubs. They will now continue with the regional discussion. For Southeast Europe hub, there will be online space where people from the Southeast Europe will continue discussing the regional developments. We'll be also having the video from Indonesia and Tunisia. And on this point, I would like to conclude our global briefing. Here in Geneva, we'll continue discussion with some refreshment and here in the room at WMO. All the best for colleagues online. The global briefing is closed. Please join us.
Hello everyone, I'm Tasnim from the Ajimina Hub in Tunis. Today I'll be speaking about one main topic, which is the restriction of online freedoms in some of the MENA region countries. Starting with Morocco and the VoIP ban, from early January 2016, Moroccans can't use voice over Internet protocol services of their 3G and 4G mobile connections. The three main telecom operators, Morocco Telecom, Meditel and Enwi, came together to this decision, wanting to boost their revenues from international calls. However, Morocco's Telecommunications Regulatory National Agency justified this action by stating that VoIP services and free internet calls don't have the required licenses. Angry telecom operator customers protested on social networks by signing online petitions and unliking the three telecom operators' Facebook pages. The situation is still remaining, and most likely a lot of Morocco residents are referring to some solutions to unblock VoIP apps. VPN service provider is one solution, which masks IP address and help relocate. This will drive me to speak about another case of restriction, which is related to virtual private network. The United Arab Emirates updated the laws regarding IT crimes. Internet users who use VPN or proxy servers in the UAE to commit or prevent the discovery of a crime can be imprisoned, fined between 500,000 and 2 million dirhams or both. Note that VoIP is blocked also in the UAE, so in this case users cannot unblock it by using VPN because they are going to be facing this law. I want to finish my intervention by highlighting the fact that Tunisian internet users, with the evolution of technology and the huge reliability upon the internet, needs PayPal services either to buy or to get paid for their jobs online. Civil society is working in this issue with different stakeholders, and lately the progress of their hard work reached the step where the central bank is required to send a comfort letter to PayPal to include Tunisia in the list of countries to deploy PayPal services next year. This letter should be sent before the end of September. If sent, Tunisia will wait 4 more years for American society to update.
Good afternoon to Geneva and good evening here in Jakarta. My name is Arto Hananto. I'm representing the Indonesian IGF, Internet Governance Forum. There are several updates from GIP Hub Jakarta and including the region. First is the ASEAN leaders has adopted master plan on connectivity for 2025. ASEAN leaders adopted this plan of ASEAN Connectivity 2025 or the MPAC 2025 during the course of ASEAN Summit on 6 September 2016 in Vientiane, Laos, People's Democratic Republic. The MPAC 2025 focuses on 5 strategic areas, including digital innovation. The key feature of this master plan is the inclusion of micro, small and medium enterprises or MES as the center of connectivity development strategy, noting that digital technologies in ASEAN could potentially be worth up to $625 billion or 8% of ASEAN GDPs in 2030. The MPAC 2025 also highlighted the strategy to improve data management and digital financial services within the region. Secondly, Indonesian Tax Authority launches investigation over Google. Indonesian Tax Authority is pursuing Google Asia Pacific over what officials allege are unpaid taxes from advertising revenue, which is estimated more than 400 million US dollars in the year of 2015. The authority concerns with the discrepancies of tax being paid by Google Indonesia, a limited liability company and already subject of Indonesian tax regulation, compared to the potential tax generated from the revenue of Google Asia Pacific from its business in Indonesia. It is noted that Google Indonesia already pays taxes on revenue booked through its local office in Indonesia, which is lower than the amount of business transaction derived from Google's operations in Indonesia through its Asia Pacific headquarters in Singapore. This investigation is being right now is being processed. Thirdly, Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum, or APRL GF 2016 Taipei synthesis document recently has been published. Asia Pacific held its regional IGF in August 2016 and has published a synthesis document. One of the concerns arose over the security of emerging technologies, such as Internet of Things, and when critical national infrastructure
updated the laws regarding IT crimes. Internet users who use VPN or proxy servers in the UAE to commit or prevent the discovery of a crime can be imprisoned, fined between 500,000 and 2 million dirhams, or both. Note that VoIP is blocked also in the UAE, so in this case users cannot unblock it by using VPN because they are going to be facing this law. I want to finish my intervention by highlighting the fact that Tunisian internet users, with the evolution of technology and the huge reliability upon the internet, needs PayPal services either to buy or to get paid for their jobs online. Civil society is working in this issue with different stakeholders, and lately the progress of their hard work reached the step where the central bank is required to send a comfort letter to PayPal to include Tunisia in the list of countries to deploy PayPal services next year. This letter should be sent before the end of September. If sent, Tunisia will wait 4 more years for American society to update.
Good afternoon to Geneva and good evening here in Jakarta. My name is Alto Hananto. I'm representing the Indonesian IGF Internet Governance Forum. There are several updates from GIP Hub Jakarta and including the region. First is the ASEAN leaders has adopted master plan on connectivity for 2025. ASEAN leaders adopted this plan of ASEAN Connectivity 2025, or the MPAC 2025, during the course of ASEAN Summit on 6 September 2016 in Vientiane, Laos, People's Democratic Republic. The MPAC 2025 focuses on 5 strategic areas, including digital innovation. The key feature of this master plan is the inclusion of micro, small and medium enterprises, or MES, as the center of connectivity development strategy, noting that digital technologies in ASEAN could potentially be worth up to 625 billion US dollar, or 8% of ASEAN GDPs in 2030. The MPAC 2025 also highlighted the strategy to improve data management and digital financial services within the region. Secondly, Indonesian Tax Authority launches investigation over Google. Indonesian tax authority is pursuing Google Asia Pacific over what official allege are unpaid taxes from advertising revenue, which is estimated more than $400 million in the year of 2015. The authority concerns with the discrepancies of tax being paid by Google Indonesia, a limited liability company and already subject of Indonesian tax regulation, compared to the potential tax generated from the revenue of Google Asia Pacific from its business in Indonesia. It is noted that Google Indonesia already pays taxes on revenue booked through its local office in Indonesia, which is lower than the amount of business transaction derived from Google's operations in Indonesia through its Asia Pacific headquarters in Singapore. This investigation is being right now is being processed. Thirdly, Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum, or APRL GF 2016 Taipei synthesis document recently has been published. Asia Pacific held its regional IGF in August 2016 and has published a synthesis document. One of the concerns arose over the security of emerging technologies, such as Internet of Things, and when critical national infrastructure in the year of 2015. The authority concerns with the discrepancies of tax being paid by Google Indonesia, a limited liability company and already subject of Indonesian tax regulation, compared to the potential tax generated from the revenue of Google Asia Pacific from its business in Indonesia. It is noted that Google Indonesia already pays taxes on revenue booked through its local office in Indonesia, which is lower than the amount of business transaction derived from Google's operations in Indonesia through its Asia Pacific headquarters in Singapore. This investigation is being right now is being processed. Thirdly, Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum, or APRL GF 2016 Taipei synthesis document recently has been published. Asia Pacific held its regional IGF in August 2016 and has published a synthesis document. One of the concerns arose over the security of emerging technologies, such as Internet of Things, and when critical national infrastructure. This investigation is being right now is being processed. Thirdly, Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum, or APRL GF 2016 Taipei synthesis document recently has been published. Asia Pacific held its regional IGF in August 2016 and has published a synthesis document. One of the concerns arose over the security of emerging technologies, such as Internet of Things, and when critical national infrastructure